They laughed, didn't they? When you stumbled, when you lost, when you broke, they whispered behind your back. And some of them didn't hold back, even said it straight to your face. You won't make it. We knew you'd fail. It wasn't just laughter, it was satisfaction. Because your failure made them feel better about their own mediocrity. Your downfall was proof that they were right, that dreaming too big was foolish, that trying too hard was pointless. They didn't just want to see you fall, they needed to. Because deep down, they knew they never had the courage to rise. People love watching a fall. It's entertaining, it's comforting. It's a reminder that they're not alone in their fears, in their doubts, in their smallness. But here's what they never expect. Wounded doesn't mean finished. Wolves circle a wounded animal, but they forget wounds heal. And when they do, the predator they mocked becomes the one they fear. You felt it, didn't you? The weight of their words pressing down on you. The smirks, the pity, the silence from the ones who once cheered for you. You saw them watching, waiting, expecting you to stay down. That's the part they don't understand. You didn't break, you didn't quit, you didn't fade into the shadows, quietly accepting your fate. No. You absorbed every whisper, every doubt, every mocking grin. And deep inside, something shifted. Because the fall, it wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The worst part of falling? It's not the pain. It's not the bruises, the humiliation, or even the whispers behind your back. It's the silence. It's the empty space where people used to stand. The ones who swore they had your back, suddenly gone. The ones you helped, supported, lifted up, nowhere to be found. Betrayal stings more than failure. Because failure is expected. Life will knock you down. But betrayal? That comes from the people you let close enough to touch the knife in your back. And when it happens, you start questioning everything. Was it me? Was I blind? Did I put my faith in the wrong hands? No. You weren't losing support. You were losing the illusion of who was really there for you. A storm doesn't destroy real foundations. It only wipes away the weak ones. And that's what your fall did. It revealed what was never strong to begin with. The ones who truly believed in you, they stayed. But the ones who were only around for the good times, for what they could take from you, they scattered the moment you had nothing left to give. Painful? Yes, but necessary. Because now you see, think back. Who clapped when you struggled? Who smirked when you lost? And more importantly, who vanished when you needed them most? That's your answer. That's your reality check. And that's the reason you'll never need them again. But let's be real. It hurts. Knowing that the people you once trusted, the ones you broke bread with, the ones who smiled in your face, were the first to turn their backs. And maybe you tried to justify it. Maybe you told yourself, they're just busy. They didn't know how to help. They'll come back once things settle. But deep down, you knew. Real ones don't disappear when things get tough. They don't watch from a distance, waiting to see if you make it before deciding whether they'll stand with you. So let them go. Let them stay on the sidelines. Because here's the truth. Some people were never meant to walk with you into the next chapter of your life. They were only temporary characters in a story that's still being written. And if they couldn't stand by you in the dark, they damn sure don't deserve a seat when the light comes back on. Now, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Are you going to sit there, broken, mourning people who were never meant to stay? Or are you going to take this as fuel, as clarity, as the fire you need to rise? Because this isolation, this betrayal, this pain, it's not your ending. It's just the setup for your return. And when that moment comes, they won't just regret leaving. They'll regret ever doubting you in the first place. Some people were never meant to walk with you into the next chapter of your life. They were only temporary characters in a story that's still being written. And if they couldn't stand by you in the dark, they damn sure don't deserve a seat when the light comes back on. Now, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Are you going to sit there, broken, mourning people who were never meant to stay? Or are you going to take this as fuel, as clarity, as the fire you need to rise? Because this isolation, this betrayal, this pain, it's not your ending. It's just the setup for your return. And when that moment comes, they won't just regret leaving. They'll regret ever doubting you in the first place. Rock bottom. The place no one wants to be, but everyone meets at least once. And when you get there, it's not some dramatic, earth-shattering moment. No, it's quiet, cold, empty. It's that second where you sit in the wreckage of everything you built, staring at the ruins, and realize you have nothing left to give. The weight of failure, it's suffocating. The whispers of doubt, louder than ever. And for the first time, you wonder, maybe they were right. Maybe you were reaching too high. Maybe you should have played it safe. Maybe you weren't built for this. This is where most people break. This is where they stay down. Because it's easier to accept defeat than to fight back when you're already bleeding. And you could have done the same. You could have let them win, let them laugh, let them be right, but you didn't. Because somewhere, buried beneath the exhaustion, the pain, the betrayal, there was something still alive inside you. A spark, a whisper, a refusal to let this be the end. That's the difference between the ones who rise and the ones who disappear. See, fire doesn't destroy steel, it forges it. Pressure doesn't break diamonds, it creates them. And pain? Pain isn't a period. It's a comma, a pause, a transition, a test to see who has the guts to keep going. They thought the story ended here, that your failure was the final page, that the credits were about to roll. But they haven't seen the next chapter. Because this is the turning point. The moment where the weak stay down and the strong start climbing. And you were never meant to stay in the ashes. You were meant to rise from them. And when you do, the same people who mocked your fall will have no choice but to watch your rise. They won't be laughing then. They'll be watching. Silently. Stunned. Because they never thought you'd make it past this point. But what they didn't realize is you were never just built to survive. You were built to come back stronger. Rock bottom wasn't your grave, it was your foundation. And from here, there's only one direction left to go. That is, upwards. No announcements, no explanations, just action. Because the ones who laughed when you fell, they're not expecting you to get back up. They think the story ended with your failure, that you're just another name they can toss aside, another lesson in what not to do. Let them think that. Because the deadliest moves are made in silence. A lion doesn't roar while hunting. It moves unseen, patient, controlled. Then, when the moment is right, it strikes. And that's exactly what you're doing now. See, most people waste their energy trying to prove something to the world. They announce every plan. They defend themselves to doubters. They beg for recognition. But not you. You've learned the power of silence. The work you do in the dark when no one is watching determines the light you step into later. This is where the real shift happens. You stop proving yourself. You stop begging for validation. You stop explaining your silence. Because the truth is, the ones who doubted you don't deserve an explanation. They deserve to be blindsided by your success. You don't need their approval. You don't need their applause. And you sure as hell don't need their permission to rise. They had their fun. They enjoyed watching you stumble. But now, they won't even see you coming. Because while they were busy laughing, you were busy working. And this time, you're not coming back as the person they remember. Remember, that version of you died in the fall. This version, the one rising, ruthless, focused, unstoppable. You're done seeking respect. You're about to command it. And the beauty of it all? You don't have to say a word. Success speaks for itself. So let them talk. Let them whisper. Let them doubt. Because by the time they realize what's happening, it'll be too late. You will have already arrived. And they'll be left wondering how they never saw it coming. It happens in a split second. That moment when they see you, really see you, for the first time since they left you behind. The silence is deafening, because nothing is more unsettling than realizing the person you laughed at, the one you mocked, underestimated, and counted out, is now ahead of you. They won't say it out loud, but you'll see it in their eyes. The confusion, the disbelief, the regret. They swore you were done. They were sure of it. And now they don't know what to do with the truth standing right in front of them. They built a wall to keep you down, and now they have to watch you soar over it. And it burns them. The same voices that once ridiculed you, silent. The same people who ignored your struggle, now forced to acknowledge your success. But they won't admit it, not directly. No, that would mean confronting their own weakness, their own failure to stop you. Instead, they try to rewrite the past. Suddenly, they've always believed in you. They knew you had it in you. They were just tough on you to make you stronger. Fake support, forced smiles, empty words. And then there are the others, the ones who can't even pretend to be happy for you. They sit in the background, watching, bitter, seething. Because your success is a reminder of their failure. They could have used their time building something for themselves, but instead, they wasted it tearing you down. And now they have to live with the reality that you made it, and they didn't. Jealousy eats at them. Regret follows them. But they'll never say it. And you don't react. You don't gloat. You don't waste a second trying to prove a point. Because your response is the one thing they can't handle. Silence. No explanations. No justifications. No apologies for becoming what they swore you couldn't be. Just results. Because while they were running their mouths, you were putting in the work. And now they have to sit back and watch. They wanted to see you fall. Now they're forced to watch you rise. They wanted to bury you. Now they're standing in the shadow of everything you built. And the best part? This isn't even your peak. This is just the beginning. The difference between those who rise and stay there and those who rise only to fall again, it's ruthless consistency. It's not just about getting to the top. It's about making sure no one ever knocks you down again. Many people rise, but only a few have the grit to stay there, to keep climbing when everyone expects them to stumble again. They'll cheer you on when you're climbing, but as soon as you hit the summit, they'll start plotting your fall. They don't want to see you succeed. They want to see you humble, knocked back to where you once were. But you can't let that happen. Ruthlessness isn't about destroying others. It's about protecting your progress, your peace, your purpose. You've seen it happen. People who rise quickly but can't handle the pressure, who get lost in the approval of others, who are so desperate for validation that they forget why they started climbing in the first place. They get distracted. They fall. The trap is subtle, but dangerous. Once you start letting people back into your life who never really supported you, once you start needing their approval, you're setting yourself up for another fall. You've been to the bottom. You've felt the sting of betrayal. And now you know what it takes to protect what you've built. Because staying ruthless isn't just about climbing. It's about keeping the top for yourself. People will try to come back. You know it. They'll pretend like nothing ever happened, like they never doubted you, never turned their backs on you. But the truth is, their silence before, it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a choice. Don't let them back in. This isn't about revenge. It's about self-respect. When someone leaves you at your lowest, they don't get the right to stand with you at your highest. You don't owe them explanations. You don't need their forgiveness. They didn't help you climb. They didn't carry your weight. They didn't hold you up when you were at your lowest. So why let them enjoy your success when they didn't contribute to it? You know the truth. You can't make the same mistakes twice. So, when they come crawling back, acting like nothing ever happened, remember who you were before. Remember the pain, the loneliness, the betrayal. And most importantly, remember why you don't let them in again. You're not bitter. You're not vengeful. You're just clear about your worth now. You've learned the hard way that your peace is precious, and that includes who you let in to share it. It's not about punishing them. It's about protecting yourself. Ruthlessness is the armor you wear to defend what's yours. It's the shield you hold up to keep the distractions, the fake apologies, and the shallow pleasantries away. Because your peace isn't for sale. Your progress isn't a handout. And your success isn't a gift they can reclaim just because they've come back to ask for it. You've been forged by fire, shaped by adversity, and your strength is untouchable. So, stay ruthless. Stay focused. Don't fall for the trap. Don't let them back in. Keep climbing. Keep rising. And when they look up from the bottom, watching you stay on top, let them wonder how you did it. Because you didn't just rise, you stayed. The journey you've been on, they don't get it. They never will. You know the ones, those who saw you stumble, those who doubted your every move. They laughed, they whispered, they judged. They thought they had you all figured out, but they were wrong. And now the silence in their eyes speaks louder than any of their words ever did. The same mouths that laughed at you, they'll be the ones who fall quiet when you step into your power. You don't need them to admit their mistakes. You don't need their apology. The regret they feel will be written all over their faces, unspoken but undeniable. People who once dismissed you will have to watch as you rise, whether they like it or not. And when they realize how far you've come, when they see your success, their guilt will be impossible to hide. But by then, it won't matter to you. You won't need their validation. You won't even need their recognition. The same mouths that laughed will one day go silent in your presence. There's a power in silence that words can never capture. When you're truly unstoppable, the only thing left for them to do is watch. Watch as you walk past them. Watch as you stand taller. Watch as you break barriers they thought were unbreakable. And they'll know, deep down, they missed their chance to be part of your journey because you weren't waiting for them. You never were. This whole time, you've been building, preparing, sharpening. They thought you were weak. They thought you were finished. What they didn't realize is that you were never in the game for their approval. You were in it for your own. You were in it for the vision that was only ever yours. And now that they see you winning, they'll start to bow. But it won't be the kind of bow you're waiting for. It'll be the bow of realization, the bow of regret, the bow of someone who finally understands they were wrong about you all along. But by the time that happens, you won't be looking their way. You won't need their acknowledgement because your success speaks for itself. You've learned this the hard way. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need anyone's validation. You don't need anyone's permission to rise. What you need is to trust in your own strength, your own vision, your own determination. That's what got you here. And that's what will keep you moving forward. They laughed when you fell. They will bow when you rise. But here's the gut punch, the kicker, the truth you've known all along. By the time they bow, by the time they realize who you've become, you won't even be looking their way. You'll be so far ahead, so deeply immersed in your own journey, that their presence won't matter. And you know what? That's the sweetest victory of all. Because the rise was never for them. It was always for you. You were never meant to prove anything to anyone. You were always meant to prove it to yourself. And now, when they look at you, they'll see not just your success, but the strength it took to get here. They'll see what they never understood, and in their silence, you'll know you've won. This is your moment. You've earned it. And when they bow, you won't be there to witness it, because you'll be too busy standing taller than ever before.